breeding crested geckos can be an amazing experience. So many different morphs and colorations, there are endless possibilities on what you can create. Not to mention just seeing the animal's entire life cycle, going from this baby that you grow into an adult that you then breed to get an egg that you then incubate that becomes a baby. It's just an incredible experience. However, with that being said, I know a lot of people are getting into the Crested Gecko breeding project as their first reptile breeding experience. And as we all know, it can be pretty overwhelming from the start trying to pick up on all the information you're going to need to have a successful breeding project. So today I wanted to complete this 3-part series of Crested Gecko breeding with incubating the eggs and raising babies. Let's check it out. And real quick before we get this video started, I just want to announce we did get a new merch drop last week, and we have a couple new designs. I'll show them right here and right here. So if you guys are a fan of, the old logo, or really just a logo design, or those designs I just talked about a few seconds ago, you can find them in the description down there, teespring.com. They're pretty cheap. I think the lowest ones are $15 to $16 plus shipping. That's about it. Let's get on with the video. Secondly, if you haven't seen the first 2 parts of this Crested Gecko breeding series, I'm going to link them also down in the description, which, well, just so happens to be where the like and subscribe button is. Hint, hint. Alright, enough self-promotion, let's get on with the video. So, you finally got to these 2 videos, you got the gecko everything, you bred them, the gecko laid eggs, now we're gonna go to the next spot, what to do with those eggs. Starting out, there are tons of different incubator mediums that you can use for your Crested Gecko eggs. Perlite, vermiculite, super hatch, hatchright, I can't, there's probably others, I just can't think of them right now. And there are plenty of breeders out there that will tell you this substrate medium is the best to go with, the others are crap, always go with this one, but honestly, in my experience, Crested Geckos are a pretty hardy egg. They're not sensitive as far as, other eggs could go. I pretty much use a little bit of everything. I'll B-roll shot right here. There's vermiculite, hatchright, super hatch, and I think that's it. I think I'm using 3 or 4 different substrate mediums, and they're all doing the job. All the eggs are hatching out. So far, I've been having 100% successful hatch rate, and I'm just using different mediums. Honestly, with Crested Gecko breeding, it really just comes down to personal preference. But with that said, I will make a little note. I do really like Pangea's Super Hatch formula just because when it dries out, it turns a different color. So you can visually see, when you need to actually put more water in there or not. There has been a few occasions when I switched from Super Hatch to vermiculite just because it's the cheaper option when I was having a lot more eggs. I didn't realize that substrate was drying out and it actually got a few dents in my eggs. Luckily, after putting more water in there, it cleared itself out, but it is something to note. Super hatch has that cool thing, I guess. So you have your egg incubator all set up, you got the substrate in there, you're ready to put the eggs. Now get ready for the worst part of breeding animals, waiting for the eggs to hatch. So as far as egg incubation goes for Crested Geckos, it really varies anywhere from 60 to 120 days. And that has a lot to do with what temperature you use. So if you're using anywhere from the 70 to 72 range, you're gonna expect that 90 to 120 days, and you can really go up to 76, 77, maybe 78, and you're gonna have a shorter incubation time of somewhere around 60 to 70 days. Now with that being said, some of you guys will just think, oh, well, obviously you wanna use the higher temperatures, so then the egg hatches out faster. Well, that math just sounds it sounds right. There is some stuff to talk about with that. Something that's been noted and something I've actually personally seen and experienced myself is the fact that keeping eggs at a cooler temperature and letting them hatch out at that longer period, that 90 to 120 days, you're gonna hatch out a stronger, healthier animal than one you would see at that 50 to 60 days. Allowing that animal to absorb the entirety of the yolk and just come out on its own at a longer period, you're gonna have a very animal that's well started out. It's healthy. I've noticed they can get on food a lot faster, and they're just generally a healthy animal overall. Now that's not to discriminate these people that do higher temperatures, as far as, that 50 to 60 day range. I've hatched out animals, actually this year I've hatched out animals at that point. You can see this little guy right here, aggressive right out of the egg, barking and screaming, not barking. I got toques in my head, I'm sorry. Now, it's not to say at that higher temperature and that shorter incubation time, you're gonna have unhealthy animals or animals that aren't going to thrive. It's definitely not the case, but overall, using a slower incubation time and having it in the egg a lot longer, you're going to see an animal that's going to be bigger and actually grow faster than one that gets out of the egg quicker. And I think it comes down to just personal preference and kind of where you are in the world. You know, if you're in those hotter states and it's a little harder to keep those temperatures down, you might just have a higher incubation time. Whereas the opposite, if you're in the Northeast like me, your house might be a little cooler during that springtime when you start getting eggs, so then gets, you know, a longer incubation time. Personally, myself, I've been sticking with the shorter incubation time just because living in New England, my time frame of shipping out animals goes drastically down after pretty much fall. Pretty much in November to April or May, I'm unable to ship just because it gets too cold, so I kind of wanted to get these animals out, established, and into their new homes before I hit that, you know, 6-7 month gap. So at this point, you've waited that X amount of days, and it's finally the day your crested gecko hatches out of the egg. Now personally for me, when my crested geckos first hatch out, I like to leave them in there for anywhere for a couple to a few hours, just because of the fact it takes a lot of energy to burst out of the egg. They're in the whole new world where their world is, you know, just like this big. Now it's, you know, the world. I don't know. I like to keep them in there just for a couple hours just to make sure, you know, give them a little rest, and that's when I move them into the shoebox containers. Now, what are shoebox containers, you ask? I'm glad you asked. Maybe you didn't. Shoebox containers are just that. They're just containers that are about the shoebox size, so anything like this, or just like that picture right there. They're just small little enclosures where the animal has, you know, still plenty of room to just run around and explore, but enough where they still feel secure at the same time. I find these enclosures to work perfectly for anyone starting a breeding product just because of the fact that it's low cost as far as, you know, making them. I think you can get a 4-pack for anywhere from like 12, 20 bucks at the most, and then you just gotta make your own little screen, drill some holes, just something for some ventilation, and you have it. For any of my shoebox containers, I'd usually just put in one of those little fake plants you can get at the pet store, just something they can climb around in and hide in as far as foliage goes, but not so much where I can't closely monitor the animal and to where it like hides all the time. Then as far as a substrate or any type of medium I use in these shoebox containers, I actually just use paper towel. Personally, I just believe that it's very important to use paper towel to monitor fecal movement or BM movement, if you will, just for the fact that, you know, your animal is eating. If it's pooping, if there are poops in there every, you know, day to couple of days, then you'll know that animal is eating and, well, growing. I find it a little harder to track those fecal movements in anything like cocoa fiber or some sort of humid or tropical substrate, or even going bioactive. It's something I don't recommend for just hatching stuff out, just because, like I said, it's a lot easier to track those movements and see, making sure that they're pooping, which is making sure that they're eating, just a little easier on just simple paper towels. And then speaking of eating, let's talk about feeding schedules for crested gecko babies. It's my personal belief that they should have a pretty much 24 hours, 7-day-a-week, it's anywhere available for food. Pretty much as food goes, it's just a simple thing, you know, Repashy or Pangea formula. However, I put mine in little tiny like water cap, bottle cap, something like, boom, this thing right here. It's pretty much all they're gonna need. Really, even with that, you can't really tell that they're eating as far as, you know, when there's little babies as hatchlings go. I mean, it's really just a few little dollops with the tongue is all they're gonna eat. But with that being said, I do think it's important that they just have a 24-hour availability to that food. Usually how I start my crested geckos out eating, so first day to 2 days, I usually give them 24 to 48 hours because they're still absorbing that yolk. They're really not gonna go after food. But after that 24-hour mark, I will start offering food. And at that point, I usually grab the crested gecko, put it in my hand, and then put a little, pretty much stick my finger in with the food and hold it up to the gecko's mouth. It'll then lick it, it eats the food. That's how it's done. That's like, personally, that's how I do it. To be honest, I'm not sure how other people do it as far as getting their crested gecko established on food. It's just how I've always done it, and it's always worked out, so hopefully it works out for you guys as well. That about wraps it up. Everything you need to know about breeding crested geckos in a 3-part series. But now it's your turn. Leave me a comment in the comment section on one thing you'd want someone to know who's just getting into breeding crested geckos. Or on the flip side, if you think I missed something or you want me to go a little more into detail on something, leave me a comment in the comment section and I'll answer it there. As always, if you liked the video, please feel free to give us a thumbs up. If you want to see some more of my animals or my breeding products, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, DBCB Exotic. We are also on TikTok as well. Of course, there's that merch, DBCB Exotic merch. Cool logos, cool stuff. Check it out down in the description. Other than that, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.